Well, Lavern Pierre-Gentle was nearly killed by her ex-husband. She dreads the day when he gets out of jail because she'll have to face him again. And this time he wants half of the house. She fights back tears as she shares her story.
She's screaming, "Mommy, don't die. You can't die, Mommy, and leave me." And I look at her and I couldn't say a word.
Lavern Pierre-Gentle is reliving the night her ex-husband Derek Pierre almost killed her, right in front of their two children, Junior and Dominique.
And I saw him came charging at me. All I saw in his eyes was death.
It was about 3 years ago when she arrived home from shopping.
He pierced me, pushed it into my chest. And as he pierced me in my chest, I held on to the knife for life, and all I can think of my heart. And I felt the knife going through my bone.
The brutal attack did not stop there. It continued in the bathroom of their Bronx home. At one point, Lavern was unconscious. She was no match for her husband, who weighed more than 300 pounds. The couple's son, Junior, had to fight off his father to save his mother. And when emergency crews raced her to the hospital, she had already lost a lot of blood. She remembers hearing one of the police officers.
All he said, "Oh my God, we're losing her. She's dying." Those words I could never forget.
Remarkably, moments before the attack, a calm, cool, and collected Lavern called 911, telling police her husband was acting strange, pacing the floor.
The emergencies, I have my husband here, and he's acting out and talking about he's going to commit suicide and he's going to hurt us in the house here.
When she made that call, she had no idea he had a knife hidden in the living room. Police were already on the way when he plunged it into her chest. Twice.
I didn't feel no pain. All I feel the pain of my children, my two kids, and I see the tears and I remember, "Don't die, Mommy. You can't die. Mommy, I beg you, don't die."
Lavern spent months in the hospital fighting for her life. Her scars from the knife wounds and numerous surgeries are a constant reminder of what happened. The severe injuries changed her life forever.
I came out of the hospital, I couldn't speak. I had to get speech therapy. I had to be able to, they had to teach me how to eat. They had to teach me how to walk.
Lavern's unable to return to her job in finance. She's now permanently disabled and living on a fixed income, with even more surgeries ahead of her. Looking back on her 21 years of marriage, Lavern can't remember when they were happy. Derek worked in sales and they raised two children. From the outside of their home, things looked normal, but inside was a different story.
I was always afraid of him. I would cook food and meet him and take it to him to like calm him down and let him see that you're fighting me and I'm not fighting you.
Over the years, Lavern says the threats against her and the children were frequent and led to several orders of protection. But those orders never stopped him from tracking her down.
If you don't catch me at the job, he'll meet me at the school. And the threat is so real, so real, that there's time when I feel, Lavern, if you get into that car, you're dead.
Back then, for the kids' sake, she just tried to keep peace, but the smallest things would trigger violence. The day before the attack, she remembers Pierre was furious that she did not answer dozens of calls he made to her cell phone. Lavern thought she would get justice, but unbelievably, a criminal case against her husband never fully played out in a courtroom. Instead, she says a prosecutor working the case called her to break the news.
The good news is that he pled guilty for what he did. He said the bad news is that we made him a plea bargain.
Meaning, instead of going through an expensive trial, the city cut a deal with Derek Pierre. Instead of attempted murder for nearly stabbing his wife to death, he pleaded guilty to attempted assault and was sentenced to only 3.5 years in prison. Pierre will be out by the end of the year.
I dropped the phone and I start screaming. I said, "This is not real." So he said, "Miss Pierre, but you must remember, you have a 12-year order of protection."
But even from behind bars, the fighting continues.
He called me a bitch, called me a whore.
Now the battle is in court over custody of the children and dividing their assets, including the Bronx home. Lavern says she put the entire down payment on the house and she supported the family for years.
He said that he deserved to get 60% of my belonging, my property.
For the first time ever, Lavern is having trouble with her mortgage payments on the house she's lived in for 16 years. By law, she can't refinance or sell without her ex's approval and his signature. So ultimately, even from behind bars, he exerts control over Lavern and on the home she's now on the verge of losing.
He will not sign any document to release me.
With the threat of foreclosure looming and nowhere else to go, she turned to Fox 5. We contacted GMAC Mortgage on Lavern's behalf, and the company agreed to help, even offering to modify her loan to a more affordable payment plan without her ex-husband's signature. We also requested a prison interview with Derek Pierre, but he sent us this letter and declined our interview. But soon after we contacted him, he agreed to sign the loan documents. Meanwhile, Lavern is still going back and forth to court over custody and splitting their assets. The judge could put everything on hold until Pierre gets out of prison and gets an attorney.
I hate to come here. I feel victimized over and over again. I walked in there and I'm saying to myself, God, please let this be the final. We're going to go to trial within another 2 years. 2 years? It's 2 years too much. I might not even live to see 2 years.
Lavern shares her story of abuse and the day she almost died with the community to help other women. Little do they know, Lavern still has a long way to go, still in pain physically and mentally. While the case slowly makes its way through the courts, Lavern continues to look over her shoulder. She had bars installed on every window and door of the house. It seems she too is living in prison and questions what will happen when the man who almost took her life gets out.
Where is my life going to be? Will he be outside when he come out? Can they stop him when he comes out?
Derek Pierre gets out of prison December 18th, and Lavern is nervous. She's thinking about packing up the children and moving. The problem is, Ernie and Dari, she really has no place to go.
No, it's a powerful story. I mean, we're wondering what happens next. Does she really have to split her property with her ex-husband?
It's possible. They have a court date in January, so a judge will decide.
And what about victims who are in similar situations?
Well, actually, after hearing about Lavern's story, New York State Senator and former police captain Eric Adams introduced a bill that would help victims of domestic violence remove their abuser's name from a deed to property they own together, meaning abusers convicted of a felony will no longer have legal rights to the property. And if passed, the bill would also start the first searchable registry for convicted abusers, just like the sex offender registry.
It's just a bill, but it's still a good start.
It's a good start.
Get myfoxny.com on your iPhone free at the App Store and stay connected.